caller this week is no other than Sophie, who's behind the camera.
Sophie, who's behind the camera, is going to come in front of the camera. Sophie.
Hi, Jill.
How can we help?
Okay, so, dear Jill, I guess there's a bit of a two-part to this dilemma.
Okay.
So, I had a best friend in high school. We drifted apart over the years, and then we rekindled our friendship 5 years ago now, and it's been going really well. It's kind of, we kicked back off, I guess, where we left. And my, I guess, issue that's arisen over the past few years is that the industry that she works in means that she works evenings and into the night. And I, being self-employed, always, can make time during the day. But she is very bad at meeting up. She's cancelled quite a few times. Her and her husband were originally very close to our children as well, and it's one of those where it's like, when you have children, as you all know, people kind of should still make a lot of effort with you, even if it's like you might have the children or whatever. So that's, I guess, my first kind of issue, is how do I get across to her that bailing on me multiple times and just kind of not being there is becoming a little bit of a heartbreak, I guess, in a way. And the second part to my dilemma is, throughout kind of my friendship with her and my friendship with her husband, who I went to school with both of them, me and my husband have become quite close with his parents through a very interesting way, in that his mum confides in me a lot about her relationship with my friend. So
Right.
they're like mother-in-law, daughter-in-law relationship,
Mm-hmm.
because my friend isn't particularly keen on having any particular relationship with her, and often, as was mentioned earlier on the podcast, will hide in the kitchen if her mother-in-law knocks on the door. And because we've become quite close, like we've been out for lunch a few times, me and his mum, and now we're at a point where his mum has asked me and my husband to go out for dinner with her and her husband. So it's, because my friend has no idea about this relationship that I have with his mum, and neither does he. So I don't know whether to broach the topic with them and say, maybe don't fill them in on the ins and the outs of some of the stuff that is said between us all. But I feel like, because we've reached a point where now we've been invited out for dinner, maybe I need to tell them that we have this friendship.
That's a very complex situation you're in there.
Yeah.
And how did the parents' friendship come about?
So her relationship and her mother-in-law's relationship has always been not strained, but very challenging, because she's not a family person. So her and her parents have it's not a very close relationship. If I said my family have a WhatsApp chat and we talk literally multiple times a day, and her comment to that was, we don't have a chat, and if I don't hear from my family, it's good, because it means that there's nothing wrong. Which I think his mum's always struggled with, because she's very much a family person. She likes to do things. She just wants to have a relationship with her daughter-in-law, because she, I guess she's then forward looking at what if they have children one day, and she wants to be really involved in everything. So it just so happened that his mum would then ask me out for coffee to air her concerns about their relationship. So I'm just here like, yep, hello, not a problem.
And do you, obviously when you first started spending time with her, it was to air her concerns, but it now seems like you just have a friendship.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you enjoy her friendship.
Yeah, it's almost like having another mother figure in my
Yes.
life. And like, she's made loads of effort with my children. She will pop round and just literally knock on the door, and I don't mind, like, I have a very much an open door policy, and she will just show up with like a bunch of flowers and say, do you have time for a quick coffee? And I'll be like, yeah, absolutely. And I think she's probably gravitated towards that because she doesn't have that with my friend.
Right. Okay.
Help me, Jill.
This is a jigsaw puzzle right here. I mean, you said it yourself, but obviously I think everyone who's listening can see what's happening here. You know, you are the daughter-in-law that she wishes she had.
I don't like to say that.
Well, I know, but it's not your fault, because I think the reason, if we go back to the first half of the problem, why you're struggling with your friendship in the first place is because, and this is not a judgment because we all have stuff going on, but the way your friend has been brought up and her relationship to her family sounds like you've just said, which is, if I don't hear from them, then that's good because it's not a problem. But what I don't need is to be connected to them. I don't need to feel close to them. I just need to know that they're all right. And it sounds to me like that's one of the reasons why your friendship has started breaking down, because you are very family orientated. You, like you say, you love speaking to your family. You have an open house policy. I mean, it sounds like you're very, very, you're like, you bring people into your fold. And I think it's really hard for people who are not really, really close. I think people who are not really close to their family either really gravitate towards people who are, or they avoid them. So your friendship probably pre-children, maybe before that, was like, oh, it was fine. And then you've got children and you've got your family and you're very close, and maybe it might scare her, it might put her off, it might slightly might trigger a lot of feelings inside that she wants to have that, but she can't. I mean, the fact that she avoids her mother-in-law kind of says everything you need to know, unless you were saying to me that the mother-in-law was a nightmare, which it sounds like she's absolutely not. So what it's, without sort of psychoanalyzing it, it sounds like she's very, very scared of intimacy. And I mean that in a way of like familial intimacy, like real kind of friendship and real just day to day, like, how are you? How have you been? What's happening? She'll go out, she'll have fun with you, she'll do all that, but it sounds like she struggles with just letting you in. So if I was you, I would have to say to her, listen, I've been feeling really down about our relationship recently, because I feel like we're not as close as we used to be, and it doesn't feel as intimate as it used to be. And is there a reason for that? And then you got to let her say something. Now she might get defensive and be like, no, I think it's fine. I've not noticed any difference. But you're going to have to stand your ground and say, it's not as it was. And these are the reasons why I feel like, you don't come around very much. And I feel like you don't sort of, like, my family are the most important thing to me. So if that's something that you struggle with, then I'm going to struggle with that, because they're everything to me. And then I think it's probably, I do think you're going to have to tackle the mother-in-law as well. I think you're going to have to say, and listen, this relationship's just evolved, and we're now at a point where we're actually like, I get on really well with her. I think it would just look really odd if she found out you were having dinner with them or going out with them, or it was on social media, or somebody bumped into you at the restaurant. I think she would find that, I think she would probably almost see it as a betrayal. Would you?
And that's my concern.
Yeah.
Is that she would find out one way or another, and it would become a bigger problem than it needs to be.
And I think she would, because I think she's rejecting her, and the idea that you're embracing her will be like a double betrayal for her. So like, I don't want her, and you shouldn't want her either. I mean, I am projecting a bit here, but it just sounds very odd to me that she's pushed her away, and then it seems very natural to me that the mother-in-law has then went, oh, Sophie, she's so nice and she's so welcoming, and she's like somebody that I could, maybe she's lonely and she needs someone to talk to. But I know I say this a lot, although I didn't say it on the first caller, but I think you're going to have to be as honest as you possibly can be, and it's going to be quite awkward, I think.
I think it's going to be a difficult conversation.
It is. It really is. If she's been brought up in a certain way with a certain type of family, her way of protecting herself is just to go into her shell and to be alone. And even if she's sad or lonely, it's easier for her to deal with it on her own than to have to say to you, I feel really sad or lonely. So I think when you have the chat to her, I think it's really important as well that you just say, listen, like, are you okay? She might get defensive. She might not. Just say, because as your mate and as somebody who loves you, I feel like you might not be, and I just want you to know, like, that I am here for you. But listen, it is very hard when you have friends like that. I don't think it's uncommon that some people move towards their friends and reach out, and some friends just put the blocks up. And the more your life moves on and the more she sees other people being happy and being connected and having a big village of people around them, the more she might go, I'm going to be on my own. I can only rely on myself. I can only trust myself. That's what I've known since I was a kid. That's how it's going to be. So there's definitely a lot to unpack there, but you seem like such a warm and empathetic person that she was obviously drawn to you for a reason. So you just have to say, listen, I'll always reach out, but actually there's only so much rejection I can take, because it's actually starting to make me feel a bit hurt now as well, because she might not think that you do get she might think that, oh, she'll be fine. She's got so much going on and she's got a family. So even if I cancel on her, she'll be all right. And you have to say, no, it hurts. Like, I want to see you. And it makes me feel like you don't really care when you say that you don't want to see me.
I've always been the person I think the people have assumed I'm just okay.
Yeah.
Because I've always just said, it's okay. Like, I'm going to, like, I'll be
no
fine.
No worries, don't worry.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we'll do it again. It's like, actually, sometimes it's worth saying, oh, I'm so disappointed. I actually was really looking forward to seeing you. I actually really feel like I could do with seeing you as well. So part of your part in this is probably to open up and be as vulnerable as you can with her and just say, actually, I'm actually starting to feel like a bit heartbroken by it. But it is, I mean, there's lots of different threads coming into that story, isn't there? And I think we can both tell that your friend is probably coming from a place of quite a lot of pain, I think. But yeah, if you don't mind, come back and let us know after you've had the conversation. But I mean, I think it'll be tough, but I think be as open-hearted as you can possibly be and come to her from a place of like real love rather than defensiveness. Like, don't be like, you haven't done this. Be like, this is how I'm feeling. Like, am I reading this situation right? And then tackle the mother-in-law situation, which
mother-in-law that's not my mother-in-law.
That's not your mother-in-law, but that
wishes
she was your mother-in-law, and yeah, and on it goes. And enjoy that dinner.
Thanks, Jill.